What's up, everybody? I'm David Hain. Welcome to episode 68 of the A to D From Addict to Disciple podcast. I'd like to ask you a question. Would you like one-on-one counseling or feel that you might need some group counseling? Well, you can use the podcasts or the From Ashes to Destiny curriculum and get involved by sending me a message by email at davidfromatod@gmail.com, or simply go to my website www.fromatod.org and click on the contact page. I look forward to hearing from you. When we come back, we'll get into this week's episode entitled The Carrot and the Stick. Welcome back to episode number 68, entitled The Carrot and the Stick. I'd like to start with a definition of what this carrot and stick phrase means. So I turn to businessjargons.com, and it says, the carrot and stick approach of motivation is a traditional motivation theory that asserts to urge someone to do desired behaviors, rewards are given as motivation, and also punishments are given in response to negative behavior with the assumption that it will push an individual toward the desired behavior. So you got that? The carrot is the reward, and the stick is sort of that slap on the butt when people are doing negative behavior to get them to behave. And the carrot and stick approach of motivation is based on the principles of reinforcement developed by philosopher Jeremy Bentham during the Industrial Revolution in the 1800s. His theory was based on the old story of a donkey, which portrayed the best way to move a donkey was to put a carrot in front of him. And if he stopped moving forward, to jab him with a stick from behind. The carrot was the reward for moving, while the stick was the punishment for not moving and forcing him to move or be whipped. Well, one of the problems with applying this methodology into addiction treatment or to promote sustainable recovery is that the addict can feel like a performing donkey. We soon realize how we need to perform to keep our friends, loved ones, and sponsors happy. I find this also holds true when someone who is just beginning their recovery is assigned an accountability partner to keep track of them. The accountability partner's focus is on positive steps of performance, such as attending meetings on time, doing required homework, sharing in group, working the steps, starting a job search, engaging in personal hygiene or self-care. So these are the questions that accountability partners, counselors, coaches, mentors, treatment providers tend to ask, along with the common question, did you use today? Well, as addicts, we quickly learn how to give the answers that these accountability partners, mentors, or counselors want to hear. At the same time, as addicts, we feel the need to suppress talking about cravings and drug dreams and fears and self-doubt and all these other emotions that could lead to relapse, because we're afraid if we share the truth, we're going to get that swat on the behind, and all of them will be viewed as negative behavior. I found an interesting comparison to addicts and how they feel in the book Black Like Me by John Howard Griffin. In the fall of 1959, Griffin decided to investigate firsthand the plight of African Americans in the South, where racial segregation was legal, Blacks had lost the right to vote since the turn of the century, and they were closed out of the political system. And whites were struggling to maintain dominance against an increasing civil rights movement. To do this, Griffin decided to pretend to be black. He received various treatments to darken his skin and shaved his head in order to hide his straight hair, and then spent weeks traveling as a black man in New Orleans, other parts of Mississippi, South Carolina, and Georgia, getting around mainly by bus and by hitchhiking. It's a great read if you've never read the book Black Like Me. I strongly recommend it. And a noteworthy conclusion that Griffin reached, and put this in the book, and I quote, "The Southern Negro will not tell the white man the truth. He long ago learned that if he speaks a truth unpleasing to the white will make life miserable for him." Let me change that quote and plug in the words addicts. Addicts will not tell the counselor or mentor or accountability partner the truth. He long ago learned that if he speaks a truth unpleasing to his treatment providers or sponsors or accountability partners, they will make life miserable for him. You see, Griffin felt as a black man what many people caught in the snare of addiction also feel, that the rest of society only sees an addict, not a person, and only talks to an addict as an addict or a junkie who needs to change, not as a person that they care about. Pshaw. Another problem arises just the language that we choose as accountability partners, coaches, counselors, or mentors. We may be too soft or too hard just by our own personal characteristics and personalities. By too soft, I mean you might find someone who's all carrot. They're overpraising, over-rewarding the recovering addict to the point where the praise sounds hollow or meaningless, and the reward becomes an expected thing, almost like a dog who knows they'll get a treat if they behave properly. In both instances, the carrot has lost its power to motivate lasting change. It has simply become a game of manipulation. By being too hard, I mean that the accountability partner or coach or mentor tends to be focused on catching the recovering addict on any little thing and then giving punishment for any little slip up. And so instead of asking questions to understand what's going on, even when they catch someone, they simply hand out the punishment. A pet peeve of mine in this regard is when someone is kicked out of rehab, a treatment program, or sent back to jail for giving dirty urine, when everyone working in addiction knows that relapse is one of the key clinical characteristics of addiction, so it should be expected to happen during treatment. And then in the midst of it, condemnation is heaped on top of the addicts with words like, "I knew you weren't serious about your recovery. It was only a matter of time." And these same words so many inmates hear from prison officials when they're being released, when they say, "You'll be back. I'll keep your spot for you." Can you hear condemnation? Well, John Whitmore wrote in his book, Coaching for Performance, the carrot and the stick are pervasive and persuasive motivators, but if you treat people like donkeys, they will perform like donkeys. So I guess my question is, does punishment actually work in changing someone's behavior in addiction? I think a key component is if the addict has actually chosen to change their behavior and expects consequences when they fail to change. You got that? Too often, the addict is simply reaching out for help and saying, I know how to change, and they're not signing up for all these nitpicking consequences. See, it's important in the choice that the addict makes that they're choosing to get clean and sober out of their self-desire, not the imposed desires or threats of others. Fear of consequences can get us to alter our behavior for a short time or suspend our negative behavior temporarily. But lasting behavioral changes come as the result of internal transformation, change of mind, change of heart on the part of an addict. Albert Einstein once said, "If people are only good because they fear punishment and hope for a reward, then we are a sorry lot indeed." What do most addicts find when they want to reach out for help and healing? Do they find people who only see a junkie? Do they find people who only want to fix them and not listen to them? Do they find the pressure to change their ways and begin to act like normal or decent people? Do they find that their fear of punishment should be their big motivator? Well, my premise here today is that the carrot and stick theory does not work for recovery from addiction. The fear of violating parole and being sent back to prison motivates deception, not transformation. The fear of being kicked out of a treatment program or rehab fuels thoughts of hopelessness and giving up because of the sense that no one cares or understands. And remember the words that I read earlier of John Whitmore. If you treat people like donkeys, they will perform like donkeys. And, people who feel like donkeys can never find their true beauty, let alone get transformation. Listen to the words of the song Beautiful by Christina Aguilera. Don't look at me. Every day is so wonderful. Then suddenly it's hard to breathe. Now and then I get insecure from all the pain. I'm so ashamed. I am beautiful no matter what they say. Words can't bring me down. I am beautiful in every single way. Yes, words can't bring me down. Oh no. So don't you bring me down today. Can you hear the struggle to hold on to the belief in yourself in the midst of the words of others trying to judge you, criticize you, and bring you down day after day? In closing, I want to encourage those of you working in recovery to look at your practices to see if you are relying on the old carrot and stick method. And I want to urge addicts and those of you ready to try recovery to search out people who focus on you as a person, not as a junkie. I believe that what does work for a good accountability partner or sponsor or counselor in forming lasting recovery is compassion, listening, understanding, respect, trust, patience, encouragement, hope, building confidence and competence, having a feeling of self-determination in your treatment program, and growing in a sense of belonging and connectedness. It's time to replace the carrot and stick with those characteristics. Thanks for listening to this episode of the A to D from Addict to Disciple podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please share the link with your friends. If you'd like to support our work with people caught in the snare of addiction, hopelessness, or incarceration around the world, just click on the support link in this episode's description. Your donation of any amount could change a life. Tune in Monday for our next episode, and as always, stay safe and stay strong.